used to be in the family Scorpionidae, and they moved
let
it.
me know whenever you guys are ready for
subtle differences to it to give it its own unique family.
Thank you.
Okay, slight tilt down.
And I wonder after the fish if we could get a quick zoom on that coral above it too.
Sure can.
A little better perspective on it.
Okay. And go ahead for the coral. Going for the coral.
Oh wow, beautiful.
Yeah, and so got some of the closed polyps.
Nice.
You're working on focus.
Trying to determine whether this is hemicorallium or pleurocorallium. I think we'll stick with hemicorallium unless somebody else has got a better idea in the event log here.
Copy that.
I see Brian Green has joined us, so you got the fish guy on in the event log. Hello, Brian. Good to see you.
Slight tilt up. Thanks, sir.
Okay, and we're good for science whenever video's ready.
Video's clear. Have we lasered these?
Negative.
Pull them for lasers.
Okay. Lasers on.
Laser coral.
All right. So then
Laser
fish.
Clear.
How are you feeling right now, co-pilot, with the tether? Do you want to get a little bit close?
In your full wide.
I think once he comes off of these two subjects here, we'll probably be ready for another move.
Just the gorge up above it, so maybe we can skip those for the moment and see if we can cover a little ground, which I keep trying to do before we find something really cool.
What I'll do is go around the other side of this rock here while we're waiting for some tether.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get a 2.
This does look like a good rock.
250, 260?
250 sounds good.
Okay, 250.
So I'm moving to the upcurrent side.
That's going to be another 20 meters, 0.2.
Sounds good.
Bridge to nav. We're ready for a move.
Chris,
that would be
perform this move and
range
get,
20 meters, bearing 250, speed
info
0.2.
people on the shore, a biological description of
that is correct.
the sinking of this or
Yes.
dropping below the surface.
Sure, I can do that. So this terrain, again, is not what we've seen on the previous dives on this cruise. This is essentially carbonate or consolidated sediment that formed when this used to be at sea level, and it formed a lagoon and an atoll fringing reef, and then the seamount may have sunk a bit and the reefs drowned, or alternately it could have risen above the surface of the sea and the reefs died by being exposed to air too long. And it could have done both. So kind of in Hawaii, you've got some of the islands actually going up and down, so they sink
floating
and go up above
column,
the sea
right?
level and drop down again. But when you see this kind of very fascinating terrain that's got all types of grooves, fangs, and holes in it,
probably good enough.
That's usually a result of dissolution, like what you get in like a cavern, for example, one of the Carlsberg Cavern or something like this. You get water eroding through this old reef structure and creating these pockmarks and
Co-pilot,
holes.
we're currently moving.
So
I'll
at
let you
some
know when we
point,
stopped.
we sort of think that this area was above sea level. I think that's the best explanation for this kind of terrain. This is not basalt, as I mentioned before. We are well above the actual base rock of the volcano. It is totally covering all the basalt. If you were to drill down deep enough through this material, you'd get to basalt, all old reef. And this actually makes for fascinating terrain, as you'll see as we go up slope today, because it's really wild, and of course it's probably a nightmare for pilots with cabled vehicles, but it's pretty interesting for the audience to see this kind of terrain. Pretty interesting to me.
Go ahead, Bridge.
So Johnston Atoll was formed originally by a volcano, probably again about 80 million years ago or so. And then as this volcano broke the surface, the eruption stopped at some point. And by the way, there's 3 beautiful corallium colonies that we're passing by here. There's corallium all over the place, so that's great. But there was probably a pretty good sized island here at some point, and then the eruption stopped, and the island slowly started sinking. The mass or weight of the island was actually pushing it down into the mantle, and also sea level was rising, and the island itself was eroding, and reefs were building up along the flanks of it. And eventually it wound up having a very flat top.
An enemy off to the right.
Where the entire old volcanic cone is gone. And then it sank below the surface for good, which is probably now. I don't think this is ever going to be pushed back above the surface, particularly in our current climate change, or what people expect the climate to do.
Maybe directly below lasers.
I don't see the lasers.
It's tip of the rock. Center screen almost. That's where the lasers are.
Oh, there they are, way out there. Yeah,
Okay, lots of corallium. Lots more of these black corals, the starapathes, the darker ones. The, hemicorallium are these white and pink ones. These are the precious corals, as we already mentioned.
Nav, were they going to continue that move once they adjusted heading? Or
do you know if there are ideal conditions for corallium to grow? It seems like
they didn't say, but
only in particular areas, right?
High current flow and sediment-free hard substrate. There's a little sediment dusting here, but this is classic corallium, with a really good current flow.
My colors on Sirius.
In fact, there's a lot of corals that kind of like this type of environment.
Cap and black balance. Sirius.
Have there been many studies into the sort of development and the settlement of corallium? Seems like something valuable like that would be somewhat heavily studied.
The ship is struggling to
hold
position.
Yeah, they have. And Amy Bacco-Taylor out of Florida State University is one of the premier corallium biologists. She knows a lot of things, but corallium has been one of her specialties. She's done a lot of genetics work on it and ecology work on it.
And try to stay still.
And also Frank Parrish at the NOAA Fisheries Science Center in Honolulu has done work on corallium as well. Both he and Amy were having their own separate projects on the Makapu coral beds off of the island of Oahu in Hawaii, where they were both studying these animals.
I'm not going to try to chase it.
And then there's people like Brendan Rourke, who's trying to date and look at the ages of these precious corals. He's the one I sort of said that these are probably around 200 years old. This is mostly coming from Brendan's lab.
Quite a few of these corals are quite long-lived, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
As I recall, some of these Antipotherians, or at least Antipotherians in general, are quite long-lived also.
I'm just going to go around the corner here while I can.
Fly trap an enemy.
Oh yeah, haven't seen one of those. Have we seen one of those this dive yet?
We have not.
Okay, we could do a snap zoom on it just to document it, but I would agree with Roland. It's one of the Venus flytrap anemones. It's in the center of the screen now. These are in the family Hormetheidae.
So it looks like some other type of anemone or something on the right-hand side, edge of the screen.
Yeah, see that one too.
Not sure what that is all about.
You can go ahead and go in on this one while
Bridge, doesn't have.
Good float here.
Can you give me an update, please?
Looks like he's at a meal. He, she. Chris, do these have gender?
Excuse me?
Do they have gender?
You mean male and female?
Yeah, I called it he, and then I thought, well, how would I know?
Copy that. You completely stopped that move, right? When
So
we get
Chris
to 170, I'll
Ma,
just
you
follow
want
up
to
with
handle
another
that
move.
question?
I think only they know for sure as far as that goes.
How do they reproduce?
I think they are,
Copy that,
generalized from a sea anemone perspective.
Video's clear.
They usually produce gametes into the water, so they release the males. I believe they are male and female, but they produce reproductive products that are expelled into the water, and they find themselves fertilized in the water column, and then the larvae settle out. Some of them have brooding, but I think it probably, sea anemones are quite diverse, so they have a lot of different reproductive strategies. That's just a generalized one. So, but those particular kinds of sea anemones are found all over the world, frequently in the deep sea, and that's one of the sort of mysteries about the distributions of deep sea animals, because some of them occur quite widely, sometimes even in more than one ocean, the same species. We have some sea anemones that we're looking at here. So sea anemones are basically kind of like large upside-down jellyfish in a structural sense. There's a big mouth. All of those rings of tentacles have fairly potent stinging cells. Those stinging cells capture food, oftentimes small shrimps, fishes, and whatnot, and they go right into that mouth where they're digested. They don't really have a gut, so food goes into the mouth, it's digested, and then it gets ejected out through the same hole. These get to be, I think, quite large in some cases. Some of those hormetheids I've seen easily, let's see, about 6-7 inches across.
Just underlaid
so
right next to lasers.
I'm not sure exactly how old that would be in sea
Looks like the
anemone,
one we
but
tried to collect yesterday.
but if they're anything like any of the other cnidarians, it's probably quite old.
So I think Roland has spotted a fish, and is this thing sticking out of the
fish.
rock there?
It was
Roland,
it was an anemone.
Oh, it was an enemy, okay.
Purple.
I wonder if we could zoom in on whatever's hanging off of the right side of this rocky ledge here, that sort of frilly thing. I don't know what...
Frilly?
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. That's the rock. It was a lighting effect.
Okay.
Excuse me. Never mind. Yeah, this is Chris Ma making that wrong ID there. Sorry. Oh,
what?
Well, we're both Chris. They'll never know, right? So I can attribute all the bad IDs to you.
Do we have a
Thanks.
price?
I'm just not going to make any IDs.
Another type of an enemy there.
Does it have a secondary ring of tentacles in the inside? Maybe it's another one of those serianthids.
I don't think so. I think this is probably going to be something in the actinostolid group, particularly a particular anemone.
For those who were watching yesterday, we managed to see some fairly interesting sea anemone behavior as we attempted to grab one with our manipulator arm, and it began to move off and escaped our collector. There are other sea anemones in the shallow North Pacific, for example, that can swim to avoid sea stars. They can actually dislodge and kind of undulate away from predators.
But manipulators.
As we're looking at this sea anemone, all of these tentacles are probably armed with fairly potent stinging cells.
Nice.
And
background shot.
So any kind of shrimp or fish that wanders too close, these stinging cells will activate, the tentacles or arms will grab, and that hapless shrimp or fish is pulled into the mouth and devoured.
So Nadia Samarian, who's been helping us with anemones here, she's in Kamchatka. She's been trying to educate us on how you can figure out how many tentacles are on these things, and it's a very difficult thing Oh, could we get this purple coral that's up on top? Sorry, I got distracted. But anyway, she's been helping us understand how you can identify some of these anemones.
Oh, wow. Is this Victorgorgia?
Yeah, I think it is. Would be my guess. Let's see if we've got any comments from the event log. It's really beautiful octocorals. They're always a treat when we come across them, because they're always this beautiful purple pinkish color.
Yeah, it's not common to find deep sea animals that are purple, but there are a surprising number of them. Victorgorgia, which is this octocoral, as well as some many sea cucumbers. When we zoom in on it, you'll notice that the many tiny little flower-like structures are actually polyps, very similar to that sea anemone we were just looking at. These are all members of the same group, the same phylum of animals, the Cnidaria, and the thing that they share in common is that each of those tentacles has a little stinging cell, which they use to capture prey. Those little stinging cells vary across different kinds of organisms. This one is colonial, whereas the sea anemone was a solitary animal.
Yeah, good. Les Watling also concurs, as does Tina, that this is Victorgorgia. Really beautiful scene here today. These beautiful rocks with the corals on them.
Oh yeah,
really rather stunning imagery at this
beautiful
site.
terrain.
I have to admit, I was not really expecting this. I was thinking that we might wind up on a pretty sedimented, barren slope today. So this is just a delight.
And that's why we explore, right?
That's why we explore. Every once in a while we get lucky and find a place like this.
Copy that. I'll let you know when we're ready. Thank you.
All right, what else can we find in this wonderful community? There's a sponge. I don't know if anyone would want to waste their time on a sponge except for me. I wonder if you could get a chance at zooming in on that sponge in the center, since it's different.
We won't leave it to chance.
Thanks. So this is one of the shallower glass sponges, I'm pretty sure. We'll get a little bit closer. And once we get a little closer,
let's do 20250.
Confirm
that. Get a little closer for him.
Bridge, this is nav. Ready for move. That's going to be range 20 meters, bearing 250. Speed 0.2. That is correct.
Okay, Roll. Wonder what that activity on that rock on the right is. There's some sticks sticking left.
So we're zooming in on this, what looks to be a glass sponge with, I believe, there's an opening
thank you, Bridge.
plate on the surface.
Pilot, the ship just
we
started
have a little jellyfish.
Copy.
Top pan rolling. Yeah, I know. He's doing this jelly.
Oh, okay. Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
I want to say a narcomedusa?
The jelly that's on the right-hand side. That's what we're looking at. You can barely see him. There he goes. He's shooting up. Please don't lose the sponge until we can document that.
It's not going anywhere, and neither am I.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
A moment's distraction.
Yeah. So this sponge is in the family Euplectellidae.
I knew it.
Yep, it is in the genus Regadrella.
I knew it.
Did you say it? I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea. I knew it was a euplectellid, but I didn't know it was rare. Whatever it was you said?
Yeah, Regadrella.
Regadrella.
Yeah. So this is, in fact, the shallowest glass sponge that at least we've documented in Hawaii. So I figured if we would see a glass sponge, it would be in this genus. And
you're as far left
this
as you
is one of these
safely?
Classic sort of vase sponges, glass vase sponges. It's soft, sort of soft, semi-hard. There's some fusion of the spicules along the wall of it, but then it's generally softer than some of the sponges we've seen.
Well, maybe lift off and hover as we get ready to pull out away from it.
Okay.
Given that we're 565 meters, this is not. This is pretty normal depth for this genus. And behind it is another one of these Stauropathes black corals too.
And while I'm stable, I'm going to take my gaze upward and see if there's anything of interest.
Well, looks like
sometimes these
fairly well infested, or not infested, but populated rock face.
This is another one of these ribbon sponges in the genus Postolastra. It's a demon sponge. And so this is in a different group of sponges than the one we just imaged.
Those little discs.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are those? Are they limpets
structure.
or something? These little round discoid things with center holes on the rock face in the foreground.
Slight tilt
when we're
down.
done with sponges, of course.
Yeah, sponges. Fine. We got images of them before.
Maxim.
Tunicates or...
Huh.
There's two holes on this one, so it could be a little tunicate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Tunicates. Or they could be sponges, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's lots of little worm tubes, as well as other things.
The wall to our right had a...
Ooh, what's that big lobster on the right? Or is it a shrimp?
Copy that, Rich.
Wide,
Thank
so
you.
you know your distance. You're full wide.
Yeah, okay.
You see the...
Co-pilot, we should be coming to a stop.
Get that shrimp there.
Partial.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oops. Stand by.
So this shrimp is going to be in the family Pandalidae, I'm pretty sure, just based on its size and the fact it's just sitting on the ground. And I'd go as far as to say it's in the genus Heterocarpus just from this view. These are usually when you see shrimp like this at this particular depth, that's what they turn out to be.
Now? This guy looks big.
Okay, go for a zoom here.
You said go for it?
Here, let me get the lasers on in here real quick. Okay, yep, this big fella. Hang on. I'm in a precarious perch here.
The lasers are clear.
And there he is. He's at an odd angle, but yes, he's got the Heterocarpus, and could even be something called Heterocarpus levigatus, but definitely in the genus Heterocarpus. It's got a sort of a keel that goes along the thorax. I don't know if you can see that in that shot. Again, it's not a swimming shrimp, it's a walking shrimp. If that makes any sense. We're good for science, and every video's ready.
We'd like a super tight of it centered if we could.
Well, Roland, that's going to be hard.
Okay, we can call it clear then.
Okay.
One of these Acanthogorgia corals right above them. Again, corallium, metallogorgia, that's the one on the stems. We already documented these.
Oh, my.
Thanks, Rolly.
So we have a different coral that's coming into center, Dave, as you're swinging.
Yeah?
It's kind of this white one that's just to the right of center there. I wonder if we could get a quick snap zoom on it.
Also, what is that weird thing in the top right corner on
Okay,
top of the black?
Let's go in on this and see if we need to get closer. Or
Yikes. I could be I thought it was different.
come on a second, Rolly. There's enough. I hear uncertainty, so I'll get closer and we'll get a macro.
Yeah, I think it could be just the corallium that we're just looking down on. For a moment there, I thought it was something different, but what the heck?
Let's try to get you to
see a little bit of a side view might be helpful. I think it's different, though. It looks different to me.
Okay.
Pilot Dave, of course, has to negotiate the current that's going here. Yeah, this is something different. It's an octoral. You can tell by the tentacles, with the pink tentacles that have got the little, I don't know if you can call them spines, but the little branchlets on each of the 8 tentacles. I'm going to need some help with this, guys. Asako, what do you think here? Asako, Tina, less Paragorgia maybe? There are some varieties that don't have those bubblegum balls on it, but I'm not really certain. It looks like the polyps are all oriented on one side, I think. I think we're looking at the back side.
Okay, that's adjusting heading to 170. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, everyone's kind of sort of studying this right now. I haven't gotten anyone weighing in on this yet.
Maybe a slight tilt down, Dave.
You need some help out there. Come on, somebody throw something out. What do you think, Asako? Could this be a Paragorgia? Les thinks it still's a corallid. He definitely could be right there. Yeah, he could be just a white morph. Both. Okay, so I think everybody thinks it is just a coralliid. It's slightly different morphology. So thanks very much. We're good for science.
Oh, why, bro?
Yep, they all think it's a possible corallid.
So, Dave, there's something upper right.
Upper right? Okay.
An enemy on a stalk on something weird going on the top. Off to the right.
Okay, coming right. That thing?
That weird thing.
Barnacles.
Oh, very large.
Bunch of barnacles.
It's barnacles with an anemone under it. Well, the Anectinoscyphia is my guess on the anemone.
Don't know if I've ever seen translucent barnacles.
Barnacles are scalpellids. It could be, well, I don't know if they're scalpelliform, stalked barnacles. Could be in a family Heterolepatidae. I
just
think
a little
it's a family
Heterolepis.
Kind
of wobbly. That's good.
Yeah.
stays stable.
Yeah, they are. Very good. Matt was commenting, it looks like it's on a Chrysler Gorge, yeah? Just annotating that right now, and the thing's covered with these little brittle stars. Sorry, I was looking down, typing in some notes here. So, God, it's like a little baby brittle star nursery here, unless they're a really small species, I guess.
Okay, I'm going to come left just a little bit when you've got enough of this rolling.
Yep. We'll try and tilt down. We'll go full screen of them.
Okay, science is good whenever video is.
We're there with the anemone.
There's the anemone.
Call it, Rolly.
Okay, about 6 more seconds of this.
Yeah.
And video's clear.
Okay, wide.
I'm not sure whether that's
Strange.
Skyphia, but it's an anemone, for sure. Our current depth is 564 meters. So, pilot, one thing we want to make sure we don't do is drift too far away from that ledge that's on the western side of the feature. So right now I think we're kind of in a flat area, but as we go up slope a little bit, then it's going to start narrowing. And
yeah,
that's the
I'm
only
looking northwest right now.
Oh, northwest?
I'm looking northwest, and this is the edge that I've been skirting around. And then if I turn my head west and we look up, there seems to be a flat top. I haven't peeked up over that yet, but that is, it seems, is that our current direction of advance, Chris?
Yeah.
Now, I have tether. I can go up here and have a look.
Yeah, I wonder, Andy, I wonder if you could zoom out just a hair. ROV Nav, I wonder if you could just zoom out a hair on your screen and just give me a better feel for the overall terrain.
Okay, watch lead. Is that good?
Yeah, I'm trying to, how about a little bit further if you could just for a moment? Trying to see,
I'm not
okay.
going to come up anymore.
So yeah, it'd be, just make sure we stick on that ledge that's to the south actually of us as Dave keeps going. So if he keeps going due west, it almost looks like, yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, we're planning
That's
on
how you're
coming right here. Like I'm doing this pretty much.
got it. I understand it now. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So if we want to go south around, then what's in front of me? I'm looking due south, and I'll scoot over here and identify this edge. If we want to stay on the, let's see which way the current's going here. I wonder if we're seeing tidal, amplified tidal here, because we're having trouble on the surface.
I can look it up if I want.
What's our tide range here? Oh, a couple feet. That's not insignificant.
Some of you may have noticed we haven't heard Chris Maw's voice for a while. It's because he's down there grabbing some lunch. And so I'm taking over sea star watch for him.
The idea that we had, at least with the dive soup, was to come up the ridge
ribbon sponges in
and
front
try
of
not
us.
to
Another
be
Venus flytrap anemone that we imaged a little while ago.
Really steep
Understood.
terrain, just to be
glass
safe.
sponge in the Regadrella
So he wanted
group.
to just come up and stay pretty much on top of the ridge. And then when we
Genus,
get up here, we'll be on top of that.
A bunch of
cliff.
coralliums on the top
Just
of that
to be
feature.
safe if there's any currents, if
And I
anything
think there's
happens
some more
coming from the
sclerotinis too, those yellow
So this
ones.
feature I'm seeing here is very local and it isn't reflected in that bathymetry at all. I don't think it's just a nice little knob here, and all of this coral is right on the crest.
Pilot, I wonder if we could get that brown colony that's just at the bottom of the screen by any chance. I think it's a little different. Sorry to interrupt. I was listening to you.
No, that's all right. We're just strategizing here because I understand you want to stay in the coral-rich areas, and the top of this thing is barren, but the edges are not.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you. Oh boy, this is neat. I already have an idea what this thing is. This is great if we can get a zoom in on it.
Pirouetted left, that'd be a good view around that section. Or we could do it vice versa too.
Yeah, it's actually better for me to land to the left.
I'm going to throw this out to the group as you're lining up. As we look at this, some of you might be interested in considering this for a collection. I think it's going to turn out to be Swiftia, but I'm not positive. They're going to get a close look, and if that idea is correct, then perhaps you can weigh in and let me know whether or not you think that's worth it, or you want. There's so much stuff here that we got all types of choices. You could also pass it up if that's what the consensus is.
So it's another starfish just to the right of that coral of interest.
I'm going to go back to where I started from. There's otherwise I'm going to cause damage on landing.
And I could be completely wrong here because this could be a Paragorgia that's overgrown with parazoanthids as well. I was trying to think of what is red and yellow.
10 meters, 240 coming up.
And so we'll get an idea as he zooms in on it. It's probably going to be one of those two because it's got a unique color that we don't see very often.
Let's get a move in. That's going to be range 10 meters, bearing 240, speed 0.2.
Clear to zoom.
10 meters.
It's going to be an overgrown Paragorgia.
Copy that. Thank you.
With parazoanthids on it. So that's our first Paragorgia. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and.
That's good right now. I'd go with this. Push and focus. Large brittle star. Yeah, there.
Tilting up.
See his disc right there.
Well, that's a big fella.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to get everything here. I think we ought to be logging this separately, or?
Copy, Bridge. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead and parazoanthids. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and add the brittle star? I'll just go ahead and put it as is. So Les Watling suggested that it could even be Paragorgia coralloides. Yeah, so thanks for that, Les. And I think that is one of the species that we've seen often that's overgrown with
an
these
extra special thing.
parazoanthids. So the actual coral is the red. For those who aren't familiar with this animal, it's the red part, and then the yellow part is a guess you could call it more of a parasitic associate, I guess, or something that's, I mean, it may benefit the coral. I don't see how if it's overgrown so much of the tissue, but anyway, it overgrows this type of coral, and that's what's giving it the yellow color. It's all these parazoanthids. There's two very different types of cnidarians. One is an octocoral, and that's the red one, and the yellow one is a hexacoral.
Do we want to look at the microstar?
Where is it, Noel?
Very bottom lobe to the right of the...
Just come on back in. I don't have it yet.
Now it's to the right.
It's to the right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Who spotted that?
That's Roland.
Wow. Unbelievable eyes again. That, I guess it's a baby sea star.
All right. Yes, blue.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you very much for that. That was a good stop.
Is that, what was that little sponge down lower? Just pop back in just for a second. Is that anything? Do we care about this?
Maybe a sponge. It could be a demo sponge or something. I'm not really
hearing
sure.
great excitement in your voice, though. So
no, it's the fact that I don't know what it is.
Oh, neither did I.
Thanks for making me admit that. So.
Well.
No, it could be a demo sponge. We could put it as a question mark.
Okay.
Scale worm to the left of that. It's
yes.
It's actually center.
You missed the baby sea star.
An isopod?
Scale worm.
No.
Maximum.
I don't know what this is, Chris. We were thinking it could be a sponge. So I'm going to leave you to it, and I'm going to run down and grab something to eat.
Okay.
Still a lot of stuff. We just saw a Paragorgia octocoral that's overgrown. We just got some beautiful imagery on it. And they're heading over to the left here to get closer to that ledge when they get
Wonderful.
up and running again.
So this is Chris Ma, an Okeanos Explorer. I'm back from lunch and refreshed and ready to find our next sea star.
Sea star. Roland, find us a sea star.
Should we flash you the microstar since you're sitting there?
Okay. Come on in.
Right edge of the screen.
Yeah. Let's see if I can ooch.
Oh, wow. Number one, that zoom is amazing. Number two, okay, so that looks like a brittle star. That's an ophiuroid. Sometimes ophiuroids are some of the most ubiquitous of the echinoderms. They're tiny and they're cryptic, and they essentially like to crawl into holes and spaces everywhere. I can't see exactly which kind this is, but there are some people who have speculated that brittle stars are among the most abundant echinoderms in the oceans. They're certainly the most diverse. There are over 2,000 species of them, and they're often hidden in rocks and certainly present on corals and so forth. Cool, thank you. We can move on when you're done with... Oh, wow. So we're focusing now on an octocoral, and you can tell that because it has these 8 feeding arms located around a central mouth. These are colonies. So this is a colony of, I believe Chris had called it Paragorgia, which is a soft coral, and it's being overgrown by these zoanthid cnidarians, which are sea anemone-like animals. And they're also colonial, and so a lot of times with these cnidarians, there are a very, at least for cnidarians, very brutal fights for space. And so they're often trying to find homes and places to thrive. And so this one seems to have overgrown this Paragorgia colony, resulting in a very nice red and orange
presentation. I can't monopolize on that.
Okay, so pilot.
Yes, navigator.
You guys were talking about moving maybe a little bit more south.
I defer to my co-pilot, and who has the big picture.
So we were, let me just show you, 240. We were moving pretty much this way. Do you want to keep like 240, 250 heading, or you guys want to move a little bit more south?
Clear to lift off.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that cliff, let me just zoom out a little bit. That should be about maybe 120 meter wall.
I admit that while a starfish would be outstanding, I would be really happy to see an octopus as well.
All right. Right now we're stopped. Whenever you guys are ready, I can call in for a move. Okay.
Yeah.
230, 20 meters, 0.2 coming up.
Amy Bako Taylor from our shoreside team of scientists calls that yellow zoanthid Bula gummi-zoanthus, as in zoanthid on bubblegum coral.
Are we ready for a move? Okay, move's gonna be 20 meters range, bearing 230, speed 0.2. That is correct.
So we've been surveying this area for various different species of corals, and one of the types of species that we're seeing in this region is one of our target species, which is Hemicorallium, which is precious coral.
Bridge.
These are corals which are used
have settled out a little bit up there.
Jewelry, and so are important to management by NOAA and other agencies who are regulating this area.
I find this fascinating that this darker colored area, it does stick up a little bit, but it seems to be a favorite. Maybe just because of its prominence.
You mean just sort of the fact that there are so many corals right along the edge there?
Yeah, right here. And is it perhaps that they're better attached, or is it just that the sediment has been swept off and that's why it looks different?
Yeah, I could interpret several different possibilities. It could be that the difference in elevation creates a sort of a favorable current for each of the coral colonies. As you said, it could be that maybe that's where the sediment's been sort of brushed off or blown off. But there are a lot of interesting topographic features that are thought to go into how some of these corals can be distributed. But I think it's the same general kind of dynamic that is on the large cliffs when we're in the deeper regions surveying. Those promontories and so forth are where the water currents are affected the most by the solid bodies, and so the changes are what are attractive to the corals in order for them to exploit the currents as they flow over the surface.
Video switching out.
There's much less current here.
Yeah, that's how they're behaving.
Yeah, when I came in, it was exciting. You had your hands full there for a while.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've left the sort of karstic hard bottoms that we were just looking at, and now we're on sort of soft bottom terrain. These are the kinds of changes that deep sea biologists are often looking for, looking at how the communities change as the bottoms and the habitats that are present on the deep sea floor change. What kinds of factors affect the dynamics that different communities that affect how different communities are present on the deep sea floor. Earlier, Chris Kelly, my colleague from the University of Hawaii, was talking about how some areas have low oxygen, and so how for this area, how low oxygen might be affecting the communities of deep sea animals relative to others where you have higher concentrations of oxygen. Looks like we're still seeing some of the hemicorallium popping up on some of the outcrops here, as well as some
Co-pilot, we should be coming to a stop in a little bit.
Copy that.
Some of these other small yellow corals. Looks like we're coming on some interesting terrain here. Can we take a look at that sort of beige, bushy colony off to the right on top of that
Yes.
mound, I guess?
This looks like 1970s album cover art. Video. Hi, Bob. We're clear to zoom.
How are you?
Coming right.
So, for those who might have just tuned in, this is Chris Ma from the National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C., and I'm working aboard the Okeanos Explorer. We're currently looking at coral and other deep sea animals in the Johnston Atoll region. Right now, we're looking at an interesting deep sea coral, which I think we identified earlier as Acanthogorgia, but I might be wrong. We have a pool of scientists that are working on shore that are helping us to identify things. Tina Molodtsova from the Shirshov Oceanographic Institute tells us that this is Acanthogorgia, which I believe is the same species that we saw a little earlier, or at least the same genus, rather. So, okay, that's good. Thank you, science. Or thank you, pilot. We can move on.
Is that a sponge in the background? A round one?
Yeah. We actually are good for another move just like that. It took us right along the dense axis of this ridge here.
Sure. That sounds good. That was 230, 20 meters. If you feel comfortable, co-pilot, I can call the next one in.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry to be speaking.
No, that's okay. Let's make it 240. I think that's perfectly in line.
Copy that. Bridge to nav. Let's get another move. That's gonna be range 20 meters, bearing 240, speed 0.2.
So, in addition to my colleague Chris Kelly, are part of the La Lima Okamoana NOAA Okeanos Explorer expedition to the Johnston Atoll region. We have a number of shoreside experts that are helping us with the many different corals and other types of marine and marine life that we're seeing down here, including many invertebrates and fishes.
Please pardon the interruption. Your conference contains less than 3 participants at this time. If you would like to continue, press *1 now, or the conference will be terminated.
*1? How do you do that?
So what are these?
You have activated the participant help menu. Press *0 for technical assistance. *1 to reinitiate this help menu. Please pardon the interruption. Your conference contains less than 3 participants at this time. If you would like to continue, press *1 now, or the conference will be terminated.
You're puppying off there a little.
Yeah. Yeah, I went over there just to get a look around.
Yeah, sounds good.
Got a little pile of rocks here to climb, and it looks like that one has rolled down.
Yeah.
Get back on the true path here, sorry.
No problem.
What is that colony down on the lower bottom part of the screen?
That is one of those
Please
purple
pardon
things.
the interruption. Your conference contains less than 3 participants at this time. If you would like to continue, press *1 now, or the conference will be terminated.
Let's take a quick zoom on that black coral that's to the right of it. Please. Thank you.
Sidle for better imaging here.
So we're looking at 2 more colonial forms. Tina Molotova from the Shirshov Oceanographic Institute tells us that the black coral is called Stauropathes, and I believe the purple one on the left is called Victigorgia. These are 2 different types of octocorals. So we can move on. These are
co-pilot. You still have about 8 meters on that move.
Of Cnidarians that we've seen before. Oh, what's that gelatinous thing? Oh, that's fine. I think we lost it.